Recently, Time Magazine released their 100 most influential people of 2015. Now, Time Magazine, of course, is a mainstream outlet and could be seen as a source of propaganda. There have been plenty of examples where people take the covers of Time Magazine and show what they're showing to the world internationally, and then they show the cover art for the US magazine, and it's completely something arbitrary and non-controversial. The United States is in a bubble for the most part, and the internet has helped break that. But surprisingly or unsurprisingly, Time Magazine still continues to promote propaganda through their magazine, and specifically with this 100 most influential people, I'm not exactly sure who their target audience is that they're trying to influence and get people to believe that these individuals are worthy of worship or you should look up to them, they should be your icons or heroes. Now, to be fair, I'm sure some of these 100 people are positive and doing good things. I haven't had time to look through all of them, but just on a quick glance, I was able to notice two names that should stand out and should show you why Time Magazine is full of shit. First off, under their leaders category, we have Narendra Modi, who is the Prime Minister of India. And his little description here was actually written by President Barack Obama. And Obama does his job of worshiping on Modi and saying why he's so great and everybody should support him. He gives a nice little anecdote. As a boy, Narendra Modi helped his father sell tea to support their family. Today, he's the leader of the world's largest democracy, and his life story, from poverty to prime minister, reflects the dynamism and the potential of India's rise. Blah, 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 goes on about how he's reducing poverty, etc., etc. And another person that they highlight here, well, hold on, let me skip that. So why should we be concerned about President Obama praising the ruler of another country? Well, a few months ago, I wrote an article called "President Obama Continues to Ally with Nations and Leaders Accused of Human Rights Violations." And the very two leaders I was discussing are the two leaders listed here in Time's 100 Most Influential People of 2015. And this includes Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Saudi Arabia's King Salman, both of who are profiled in Time's 100 Top People. Now let's see what it says about the Saudi king here. I do want to note that they also highlight Vladimir Putin, of course, because he is seen as an influential person by many around the world. But King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and this is written, his bio here is written by another king of another nation, the Kingdom of Jordan. So I'm sure this is really objective. And just listen to how much bullshit. Just the fact that an editor anywhere in Time Magazine could allow this to go to print shows you how subservient the American media is to the Saudi royalty and to the dictatorships out there. While we go around and chasing ISIS and these people who are committing horrible atrocities, we're partnered with nations that are doing the exact same or worse, including Saudi Arabia, which is suspected of ties to 9/11. Few heads of state have the history and tradition of statesmanship that His Majesty, this is his official title, I guess, His Majesty, the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman, holds today. King Salman carries with him the best traditions of leadership and stands uniquely qualified to lead the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia toward the future. His Majesty has worked since an early age alongside most of the kings of Saudi Arabia in building his country, and is personally credited with building its capital into a modern global city. So again, all these people do is they focus on economics, they focus on growth. Oh, well, the city's grown big and, the economy is coming to the modern age, but they don't discuss what tactics maybe were needed to achieve those ends or other policies of the government. This article I wrote, as I said, it details the crimes of both Modi and King Salman. Basically, Prime Minister Modi has been wrapped in a scandal for a decade now. Since 2002, there was a train of carrying Hindu pilgrims. They stopped in the town of Godhra, and the town is majority Muslim, and this led to hostility between the Muslims and the Hindus, and there was a fire, riots broke out, people died, there was a massacre. And Modi is seen as being responsible for basically allowing the violence to spread. And he has even been, people have tried to hold him accountable for this. John Sifton, the Asia Advocacy Director of Human Rights Watch, believes that Mr. Modi should at least be held accountable for not stopping or controlling the riots. Human rights organization, the American Justice Center, has also filed a criminal complaint on Modi. Of course, this is being ignored. And what's interesting is up until just last year, 2014, February, the U.S. actually had imposed a visa ban on him and wouldn't allow him to come to the country. But now that the United States and India are trying to gear up and make some new trade deals, and also the United States is trying to meet with him on a regular basis, he has been giving full immunity and will not be held accountable for whatever his role was in these massacres. Now, moving on to King Salman of Saudi Arabia. Many people know that this nation beheads people for very small crimes. They also do not allow women much rights, if any rights at all. And again, I mentioned the funding of 9/11. You could go on and on. Just a few months ago, everyone was mourning the loss of Saudi Arabia's previous king. And since King Salman has came in, when I wrote this, less than a week since he came in office, 5 beheadings had already taken place. So this was back in January. So 2-3 months ago, 5 beheadings had taken place when he just barely came into office. Who knows what's happened since then? I haven't kept up with it. But this is just an example of why you shouldn't pay attention to things like Time Magazine when they tell you who are the most 100 influential people. But there are powerful people, beautiful people all over the world who you should be inspired and influenced by. First of all, yourself, you right there. You are a beautiful, free, independent, powerful, awesome, creative human being, and you are capable of untold feats, and don't let anybody ever tell you anything different. So start by being influenced by you and your own beauty and your own power. But I'd like to give you a couple of names of some people who are influential and inspiring to me that deserve more praise than anybody seen on this 100 most influential people list by Time Magazine. Let's start with some of the younger crowd. Vitalik Buterin, who I had the pleasure of interviewing at the Bitcoin conference in 2014. Vitalik is a programmer, he's a writer, he's founder of Bitcoin Magazine. He founded Ethereum, which is going to do amazing things for the blockchain Bitcoin technology, things that we still can't even imagine yet. And did I mention that he's only 21 years old? He literally just turned 21 a couple months ago. Awesome, intelligent, brilliant dude. Here's somebody else that's also barely just cracked 21 years of age. Boyan Slat, who is the Dutch inventor, environmentalist, and aerospace engineering student who has founded the Ocean Cleanup Project. Some of you may have heard about this beautiful, amazing project. Within the next 10 years, they could possibly clean up the Pacific Ocean garbage patch. Boyan came up with this method to do that. It's called a passive system that concentrates on using the currents of the ocean to pull the debris in rather than these giant nets and other methods that people have tried. Another brilliant dude. While we're talking about young crowds, check out our interview on our channel from Andrew Demeter, who's, I believe, still under 20 years old and does independent media. He founded the Teen Take channel. Check out Cassius Methel, another young journalist who works for the Anti-Media and other websites. I mean, there's just so many brilliant minds out there. And I would say Lysander Spooner, look him up. He's a philosopher, somebody who's been influential and still influencing people. Adam Kokesh, he's somebody that influences people. Ben Swan. There's a lot of great, powerful thinkers out there and, good minds that are doing powerful things. Yet this mainstream magazine wants you to look to people who are accused of human rights violations and of massacring their own people, beheading their own people, things like that. This is why it's ever important to be vigilant and to see through the lies and the disinformation and the misinformation, the propaganda. Remember that it's up to you to decide who influences you, who empowers you, but we shouldn't hold these individuals up that are in government and the media and their corporate industrial complexes as if they're above us. They're just human beings. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're struggling. We're trying to find our way. And if somebody inspires you and influences you, that's a good thing. But I would advise using your critical thinking anytime the government or their corporate media partners tell you you should look up to or worship somebody, because more often than not you'll find that person is not worth your time or your energy, and definitely not worth your worship. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Who are your 100 most influential people? Who are just a couple of them? Who influences you? Who inspires you? Thank you guys for listening. As always, if you can hear this, you are the resistance. Peace.